Hello neighbors, Eddie here again with another video, and what I want to talk about today is a kind of a scary word: vaccinations. I have a lot to say about that, and I just want to dive right into it. So last week, our president Trump signed an executive order basically outlining how vaccinations should be, spacing them out. He made the comment that this would be more effective for the kids instead of pumping. His example was like a bottle full of soda into their systems, basically singling out some of the vaccinations, mainly the mRNA vaccines, from some of the other vaccinations. So that actually got me thinking, and again, a lot of stuff with me kind of grows and evolves as my thinking sort of changes. I've always been a supporter of vaccinations. I think they are very useful and helpful, and they help us not only protect ourselves but protect those who actually can't get vaccines because of health issues. So this time I want to actually shed a light at it or look at it from a different perspective, because now it's not just necessarily about me as a father of two young boys. I know the whole vaccine regimen, and it hurts my little heart when they have to get their vaccine shots because they be so happy looking at the technicians and the doctors, and then when they get pricked with the medicine, they cry. So it just hurts my heart, but I know it's good for them. The issue that I have is that I want to make sure my kids are taken care of and that they are able to face the journeys ahead in the best possible light. And that means being healthy, uh, being well fed, but basically everything that I can provide for them, I want to do so. Now, a lot of people seem to think vaccines causes autism. And despite that being debunked over and over and over again, and let me just be the first one to say that no one is going to come out and say with 100% certainty that vaccines do not cause autism, because there are millions, if not billions, of different combinations that we have in our genes, and how medicine interact, something could be differently. But more often than not, they do not cause it. Some of the uptick in autism is because we become better at detecting it. And therefore, the numbers have increased. Not because we're using the vaccines, but because our detection methods are better. Given that, my question is that why are we now seeing a rise in measles? Because if you want to believe that vaccines are ineffective and people are no longer getting them, why is measles rising? Why are more people getting it? It's because more people are not being vaccinated against it, and they're going into the wild, and then they're catching it, and that's a deadly disease that could really take some people out of here. So what really bothers me the most about this, what I have a hard time grasping, is that I don't want to tell anyone to not be skeptical, because I'm a skeptical person. I love science. I trust science, but even still, I remember a comedian, I can't think of his name, but he said, I don't trust anyone but my mother, and even then I make her cut the deck. And I think that's a really good place to be. You want to have a healthy sense of skepticism, and once someone proves something to you, you can feel that you've actually did your due diligence. The problem I'm having is that some of these people who are claiming that vaccines don't work, they're not doctors. They may be influencers, or they might have heard it from a TikTok video that was a reproduction of an Instagram video. I mean, you get the picture here. They're not scientists. They're not reading it in a peer reviewed study. So when I hear someone says I'm going to do my research, a little red flag flies up along with a question mark. What does research mean to you? So since I have no way of knowing that, feel free to post it in the comments section. But I'm going to explain what research means to me. Research means that every single question I had, no matter how ridiculous, I write it down. I then will do a Google search and look for stuff related to the American Medical Association and peer-reviewed journals that they champion or highlight. I then also take all my questions along with all the information that I received, and I'll take it to my doctor and I'll ask him point by point by point. I'll go through the list and check them off. I have done that. And I feel like the doctor should be able to answer that question. And then if I'm not satisfied, I will literally go to another doctor to get a second opinion just to see. It's not necessarily invalidating. It's just that I want to get a different perspective. And more often than not, the doctors show me or tell me or explain to me why things are the way they are and why it's beneficial. And then that is my research. My research is not going on YouTube or TikTok, seeing an influencer who's probably getting paid saying that, I don't do vaccines because X, Y, and Z, because they show that. My research isn't listening to RFK, who doesn't have a clue as to what he's doing. Seriously, doesn't have a clue as to what he's doing. And yet he's leading our medical response. Here's my thing. If you're 18 years and older, I want to say this, and I truly mean it. This is something that I want to make sure everyone gets access to or everyone's able to do, even though we tell some people they're not allowed to do it. But I feel like if you're 18 years or older, it's your body. It's your choice. If you don't want to get vaccinated, by all means, do not get vaccinated. If you feel like your body, your choice, that's something you don't want to do, by all means, go ahead, don't do it. I say this with a bit of sarcasm because while, some people will champion that, they'll be the same ones that tell women that no, you can't have birth control or contraceptive. So your body, your choice only, I guess, goes in this small, fine scope. But that being said, I feel like, everybody should get their own choice whether or not to take that vaccine. And I'm reminiscing back to COVID days where a lot of people did not want to get the vaccine because, they thought it's just the flu. And the only thing that irked me the most was that I never understood why the people who did not get the vaccine, who chose not to get the vaccine, once they came down to COVID, why did you guys flood the hospitals? Why not leave those hospital beds for the people who could not get the vaccine because they had pre-existing conditions and they were not able to take them? If it was such a hoax, why were you in the hospital? And that's what really gets me is that, all of our actions have consequences. And I think a lot of our fellow Americans were needlessly taken out of here too soon because they chose to listen to people who had no clue what they're talking about. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. If you don't have a PhD, if you don't have a doctorate in medicine, I'm going to be super skeptical about anything you tell me about medicine. I'm going to have to do my own research and talk to someone who actually has credentials and say, is this true or is this person full of crap? Because if you're walking around and I'm not necessarily docking people with only high school education, but if you're walking around with a high school education trying to tell someone that this vaccine is bad, I'm going to give more weight on the doctor than I give on you. That's not to say that you're not intelligent. It's just there are areas of expertise, and that is not one that you have. That's not to be condescending to you. It's just that I'm going to trust the experts and not some YouTube influencer. Now that we got the 18-year-olds out of the way, the children. This is a decision for the parents and for their doctors that we need to discuss this. Are you trying to give your child the best leg up and make sure they're best equipped to handle this world? Because there are a lot of viruses and things out there. If you don't believe measles is real, then you can just go ahead and turn off this video right now, because everything I say is not going to assuage you one way or the other. I can't even have a conversation with you if you think measles is nothing serious. We as the United States came very close to eradicating measles, and then, the rise of the internet, the good and the bad, gave voices to a lot of people, and a lot of people used their voice to shovel misinformation. And that misinformation has got some people thinking that if they get their kids vaccinated, their kids are automatically going to be autistic. Again, I don't know where that came from. I don't understand. But I'm looking at the child and I'm thinking, do you really want to jeopardize your child's long-term health because you're listening to someone other than a medical profession? You don't trust your pediatrician? Talk to another pediatrician. See what they say. Because there's science behind this. And I just feel like we're doing the children a disservice by not getting them vaccinated. Seriously. You're setting up your child to fail. And I don't think that's really cool. Actually, I think that's really bad. But in this situation, the child does not have a choice because you are the parent or the legal guardian. So I will post more videos down the line because I think we need to start back engaging in this public school systems, probably private as well, civics, because I don't think people understand the fact that just because the president signs an executive order that he automatically gets to do something like this. He is not a king. When our nation was founded, we want to get away from a king decreeing things. And this is a lack of understanding and a lack of knowledge. I think we've been chasing math and science scores and reading comprehensions, which is very important, but I think we've failed in understanding how our government should work, why our government is set up the way it is. And one of those things is it's supposed to protect the greater community, which means setting up vaccine schedules, which means helping us achieve herd immunity. So, again, unless you're a doctor, unless you have some type of advanced research, how about you leave the questions to the vaccines to the experts, and you either take their advice or you don't. At any rate, that's just my opinion. I would love to hear yours in the comments section. And once again, if you all keep watching these videos, I will keep creating it. Love you all.